Welcome everyone to another episode of the Melanated Files Podcast. This is episode number 2. My name is Ranzo and I'm joined by the lovely Janique.
Hi again.
My co-host, right? Our co-host of this show. And the point of this podcast is to create this space, this place, this platform for solution-driven discussions on the Black experience across the globe. Yes, we are solutions-driven. That's what it's about. It's not about highlighting all the problems and just dwelling on the problems over and over again. That's not what we're about. Again, this is episode number 2. We released episode number 1. You guys have actually listened to it, watched it on YouTube as well. We saw some responses, right? So we saw some good feedback from some of you guys. And the goal is to get better, right?
Yeah.
So everything that we do, the goal is not to remain at one level, but to matriculate, every time at every stage, like from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 and keep going, right? Because like the when you talk about perfection, it's not a destination, it's a pursuit. So we're constantly trying to push ourselves to become better and better. So if there's something that you guys notice that's like, okay, well, we're working on it, trust. Okay? And we appreciate your feedback and all that. And something that we just want to touch on once and for all, right? So the issue for those of you guys who don't know it is that people write from time to time, comment on YouTube, and they're saying that when they see me and my wife, I'm talking a lot. She's not getting a chance to talk. They're saying, let your wife speak, right? Like, I control that. That's not the case. And I've explained to people over and over again that, look, Jay doesn't have as much experience in front of the camera like myself, right? And as a result of that, she's getting into it. So she's kind of like getting into the swing of things, or she's getting into that. But I let her speak for herself so you guys can hear it and pretty much see things from her perspective and not what you want to see, but the reality.
Right. So, yeah, I know a lot of you were saying that he's talking a lot, but really sometimes he'll say to me, okay, say something. And I'll be like, I don't have anything to say. It's not that I don't have an opinion, but I don't know, maybe sometimes, maybe because we're recording, I feel like I'm not fully there yet, but still, when I do have something to say, trust me, I'll say it. Precisely. But sometimes when like I get put on the spot, like, okay, say something now, it's like, no, I don't have anything to say. So yeah, he's not overpowering me or stopping me from speaking. Sometimes I literally just don't know what to say.
Because we're here, right? Yeah. It's like you have me and her.
Yeah,
right? So,
like usually when we have like a conversation, it's flowing. But maybe it was the first podcast, so I'm still trying to, I'm looking at the camera and yeah.
But not even that. Remember, even from the first interview that we did,
on
the channel, like our MFiles episode where we gave our stories, they're saying the same thing. But I'm trying to give them the backstory, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm interrupted as well." Like, but it's a conversation. You interject, right? Because sometimes you say something and then you continue.
Yeah.
Right, and people don't understand we're husband and like wife. It's not like we're like, like friends, kind of like just friends, or like we're kind of like interwoven, like really deep. Yeah. So there's things that you guys won't get because you guys are clearly just watching and just judging from like very, very small amount of information. But the podcast is me and my wife,
right? Which
means you will hear from me and my wife. If the podcast was just me alone and I'm trying to like hog all the spotlight or whatever, it would be me alone on the podcast. Right, so I invited my wife to come on so she can share her thoughts as well, because I know that she has a lot to say as well. And when she gets comfortable enough, you guys will be hearing more from Janique. So
yeah, it also depends on the topic.
That too, right? So there's so many factors. So we just want to make this, just to say this, so that we don't have to come back and talk about this again. The next time I'm looking in the comments, I'm like, oh, the podcast was amazing. We liked it. Only one critique. Your wife needs to speak more. But it's not a big deal, guys.
Yeah,
just enjoy the content. We appreciate your suggestions and recommendations and stuff like that. As we progress, as we said, the goal is to become better and better, right? So it's a solution-driven podcast. And the way we see things is like, we the goal is not to remain at one level in terms of becoming better, right? So if we are at level 1, we're looking to matriculate to level number 2 because it's a constant pursuit to become better than we were the day before.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So like on the journey of even a journey that I'm on personally is a journey of self-mastery. Right? And I'm trying to get Jay on that journey as well to become better as we are.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely trying to do that.
Indeed, right? I think that's the goal of life. it's like, I remember I was listening to something where this guy was saying, I think I was talking about like second grade or something like that, where it's like, why do you think they make those second grade desks so small, right? So they won't fit at 25, right? Which means like that is only for a certain stage in their life.
Okay.
So
you can't stay there. You
can't stay. Yes.
Can't remain there.
Right. Precisely. You can't remain, in second grade for forever. So the goal in life is to make measurable progress in a reasonable time. So, second grade to third grade to fourth to fifth. So the goal is to become better, right? And of course, you guys will be hearing more from my wife. I'm trying to get her involved more, as I said in some of the comments as well. So hopefully, she'll be open to that.
Open.
Yeah, because I'm like the energetic one. Like if you guys see, my personality is different as well.
Too.
Okay, so she said
when
that.
I want to be.
Yeah. So you guys can see the personality. Like I have this, like, I saw this comment today. I don't even want to say it. I won't even address the comment, but it's like, I won't say what the person wrote, but it's like my personality. I'm like a happy-go-lucky. Like I have this really like, like this is my personality, and I told her that I really believe that it's important for us to be ourselves, for people to be themselves. Why? Because I think it's connected to your purpose or your calling in this life, right? So pretty much meaning like the way we are. It's like what's the word that I use this word? It's almost like a glimpse into your purpose, right? So the way you are, your predilections, the way you are as an individual, certain things like that, your personality, I think it's that way for a reason, right? And some people may have a certain personality and they're in one position, and another person has another personality like type, and as a result they do something else.
They conform into a different kind of
I think
place in life.
I think people who are confused about like what is my purpose, I think there are things within ourselves that are like a guiding light. Yes, that's the phrase I use. A guiding light to where you ought to be or what you should be doing. So sometimes we need to do some introspection and dig deep, and then you can see it. So for me, like I have this personality, and sometimes we're trying to like, maybe at certain stages in our lives or at one point, we're trying to be like someone else, and it never works.
No,
it's
that's
like
true.
It never works because there's already someone like that already. You understand? They're taken. I know you're trying to replicate that. Whatever it is that their purpose, whatever it is that they should do, they're already there. It's taken, and now you are robbing the world of what you should contribute because you're trying to be someone else, and not yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I embrace who I am. Sometimes, of course, like Jay know, like I'm super quiet, like very, very quiet. I'm not talking. I'm just like I'm in a place of contemplation, introspection. Like they're most like that. So I feel like I'm a little bit.
And usually when you're in that quiet stage, it's when I'm the social butterfly.
There we go. So it's like I'm more like what's the word? Like an ambivert. Right, so I'm extroverted, yes, but I'm also introverted as well.
Introverted
so there are times when I'm like one way and the other way, and another way. So I want you guys to understand that. I know we kind of went in. I told her that we wanted to address this for maybe like 30 or 60 seconds, but it's maybe like 4 or 5 minutes now. But yeah, so I hope you guys understand that. Still, people will have criticism and stuff like that. Yeah, but I just wanted to touch on that because every time you come on, it's it's then I'm like, oh my god, and sometimes I think I've lashed out in like one comment. And the reason was because it's like people were pressing on that point over and over again. I'm like, my gosh, I read so many comments. Like we get a ton of comments.
Yeah, and we read them. I actually like sometimes I just read.
She's like a comment nut. She's always reading
I'm not
comments.
a comment nut, but I do read what you guys say, and like I don't always comment, but sometimes if I feel like it, I'll respond. Or usually I will like, but nobody knows when I like because
Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah. But that's pretty much that. So we want to get into what this podcast is about today, right? So there are a few things, like a couple of talking points, that we have in mind, that we think is important from the last episode that we did, and even before that, we're working on the podcast format might change a little bit, for the better. So I'm not sure when we're gonna implement it yet, but stay tuned. We're gonna shake things up a bit.
Okay.
Right? And I think it's going to be interesting. right? So, we discussed something earlier today.
Yeah, right,
so but you got to stay tuned to see the new developments. As we said, it's about moving from one level to the next level. Because in life, you gotta, keep moving. You gotta keep active. Because if you're not moving, you're actually regressing. Like we never stand still in life. Sometimes you think you're at one spot. You're like, okay, well, I'll just stay here because it's comfortable. No. You're actually regressing. We never stay still. You're either moving forward or moving backwards. So the talking points is from the last time. Some of you guys, mentioned potential solutions in the comments. And it seems like a conundrum. I'm not gonna lie. It seems really, really challenging. For instance, some of you guys may know of, I don't know if you've seen it, about the Central Park 5. I think it's called When They See Us on Netflix. It's like a really popular thing now.
Oh, I've been hearing about it, but honest to God, I haven't watched.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I saw just the name on Netflix.
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of people responding to it, but I actually haven't tapped into.
Oh yeah, I haven't. But let me give you just a little quick. So I saw it, all right? And it's about, you guys can check it out. I think it's called When They See Us on Netflix. It's like a 3-part series, I believe, or 4-part series on Netflix. And it's about apparently 5 teenagers, black and I think Hispanic as well, back in the 90s, I believe, or something like that. Okay. Or the 80s, I think it was 89, I think. Don't quote me with all the stats, guys. You can look it up to verify. But they were wrongfully convicted. Right, how the justice system is, in the States. In the US, of course, it's unfair when it comes down to black people, etc. We know the way it is. It's not news to anyone. And so they were wrongfully convicted, and it was crazy. And now they made this 4-part series. So my thing was, of course, I understood how bad it was, but I went a little bit deep today. I was gonna start watching it today, but I never did but I read the article because I'm like, these guys were in there for a while, so I'm like, were these people compensated? Like, they were exonerated eventually, but my thing is like, you stole so much time from these people.
Of their life.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened? So they were compensated.
Oh, they were.
But honestly, no amount of money. I'm sorry. Because the emotional damage that the life that you stole from them.
That's right.
The years, they'll never get that back.
Nope.
And so the reason I brought that up was to say that I was reading the article. So the article, maybe I'll put a link in the description so you guys can actually check out the article that I read. And some of the comments, Jay, some people felt hopeless in the comments. And I understand that. People are like, how can we survive in a country or have hope when things are like this? When someone innocent, like these guys were innocent, and it's not just the first time we're innocent. I'm pretty sure even now
there's so many cases.
Yeah,
so many cases.
Even now, I'm sure there are people incarcerated right now who are innocent,
of course,
which is just the most horrible thing to even think about.
Of course,
you understand? So I'm just coming from the comments that I read. People felt hopeless. Just this feeling like the solution that we're trying to find, a lot of people feel hopeless. Even in the comment section, people are trying to okay, what are the solutions? We know what the problems are. But we're like, what are the solutions? It's almost like a conundrum because it seems like we're like, oh my God, what can we really do? Do we have the influence or the power to make the changes that needs to be made? Do we have the resources? All these things that's why there are different movements right now where people are talking about money and entrepreneurship and black people getting into businesses and different stuff like that. And people are trying to say how can we change things. We can go back to MLK, we can go back to even Marcus Garvey as well, and so many different things where people were trying stuff, and sometimes I feel in my own mind when I think that I'm just like, we've been trying for a while. There has been progress, and if we talk about Black Wall Street and what happened, and so many things, so there has been things, and I know it's better today. I'm not saying that there hasn't been any progression. Of course, it's better. We have more access and things like that. But one of the talking points I wanted to have today, and Jay will chime in as well, so you guys will hear her take on that, is on a macro scale. I can't say I know exactly what the solution is just yet, in terms of like, what can we actually do exactly, strategically, to bring about the change. What change are we talking about? Simple, nothing spectacular, per se, but just so that the challenges that we have, the additional challenges that Black people face in this life, that those are removed. So we are on the same level in terms of humanity as humans, right? So it's like, as I said, I think I may have said this before, I'm not sure, that all humans of course have problems and challenges, but we have something additionally on that. So we have an added burden that we have, right? So everything we have to, of course, be a lot better and have way more money or have more education and stuff like that, just to compete, to really stand a chance.
I think, it's pretty, it's a wide and complex issue, because we're talking about a whole justice system. If you want to talk about that specifically, legal system, just the way that things have been ingrained. And we're not from America, but we've been there and we kind of know what it's like. I think even just coming from what I've seen, or what I've even seen movements that my friends, people that we know have made, is to actually push for or encourage individuals, young people in our community, to go into those higher positions, into those decision-making positions. I feel like a lot of us don't really think about getting into politics, getting into getting into House of Commons. Well, in Canada, House of Commons. In America, I don't know, Supreme Court, I don't know,
Congress.
Congress. Congress. Being a politician, starting at the the mayor level, and actually running. And of course, there are people who are, but it's like it's maybe few and far between, probably increasing, I think, because I have every now and again you hear of a new Black mayor or a new Black politician in different areas. So I think as a community, and as a people who are raising children and raising young people, to encourage them to consider the fact that, hey, you can be mayor, you can be president, prime minister, whatever. You can run for your city office. Like, it's not far off. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's not something that we discuss or encourage our young people to do. It's
usually like the roles, like,
the
entertainment or this, right?
Right. The roles that are being fed to our young people is like, okay, well, the typical stuff, or just basic. Okay, be a teacher, or okay, if you want to go to law school, of course we have lawyers and we have other people, but I feel like involvement in politics is something that's lacking. And I can just say that just from being in Canada or whatever, but I definitely don't think that that's something that's usually necessarily encouraged. And I think it would be good for for the Black community as a whole to encourage young people to not just vote, but to run.
And the next thing, and even, okay, this is the second talking point, so we haven't touched the first one yet, but I'm gonna just switch it for a bit. We're gonna go back to the first one because I was getting to that point. And also, I don't know how some people will look at even this part, but even, of course, in finances, right? In those companies to actually sort of matriculate or ascend the throne to, be the decision maker, COO, CEO of some of these massive Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that. And also in the police force as well, because it's funny. It's like things that we think is not something that Black people do in some countries. Like, because I remember, I've seen videos in Canada and in the States, and sometimes you see Black police officers, but usually it's like predominantly white police officers. And that can be problematic in certain areas and stuff like that, because they can't identify. And I did an interview with someone who was a police officer, and the person was literally talking about how it was behind the scenes. And they were saying that they felt like they were changing. It's a black person, right? The person is a black person. And because of the way the system is, because it's almost like they were talking about the way it was in the precinct, like they maybe saw people as criminals or guilty before, like you understand, like guilty before anything. Yeah, so you see them immediately, you're saying, okay, this person is guilty, and the approach. So it's not like they're coming out seeing someone that's neutral, and then based on their actions, then you say, okay, this person is this way or a criminal or whatever. It's like they're coming within, like, this person is bad. So that within itself has a certain approach that they take, right? So I'm saying, I know, I guess in maybe like North America, where there's Canada or America, people may not be so much into the policing. They might feel like, oh, it's we don't really do that. But that's a place where I think it's really, really important for people with the right heart and mindset to actually get into, that really want to like balance things out, so that injustice can maybe like you can try to like quell that a little bit, or reduce the occurrence of certain things. And then we are going to touch on one of the points where you can chime into this, where I was saying where some people in certain positions that are black, that have some influence, they might not want to do something for a fear of losing that influence or that position, or upsetting other people that are not black people. They might be like, snap, I kind of got this thing, so I'm trying to preserve this thing for myself and my family. And if I try to get too political, or if I try to like do something for my people, then there might be backlash, right? And then there are different figures that you guys may call to mind even now, and they're saying, why didn't this person do this or that? It might not be that easy, and it might be that thing, that fear, which cripples, right? Fear is the enemy of all progress, I believe personally, and it cripples. So there might be people who can really do some things that can move mountains, so to speak, but they're afraid to lose the position, to lose the influence. So we need to like, it's kind of, I know you're coming, but I want to finish this thought. It's kind of like, it's maybe a lot to ask, and sometimes people might say, look, I got my own problems, I got my own family and things to take care of and stuff like that, and I got to be mindful of that. So we can't really demand for these people to do something. It would be nice, it would be beneficial, and sometimes a sacrifice is necessary in terms of like making progress in certain things. Like you just gotta. Well,
that's what I was just gonna get into.
Those people, it's up to them as an individual. But I guess what I would say if someone like that is watching is to employ them to maybe, if you gotta like, I don't know, employ some tact, or I don't know how you're gonna do it, but try to see if there's a way that you can contribute. But the person has to have the heart. Right, so it's like you can't force a person to feel a certain way, to be a certain way. They have to have that, and maybe someone can have a change of heart as well. They might not be, thinking about that, but because they heard something, it might start them down a path where they might make a change. But there's that issue as well.
Yeah, and I think even just with what you're saying, with as for people who are in high positions and have the ability to make a change, but fear might stifle them, or losing their reputation from people who, like you said, who are not in the Black community, but who are highly supporting them. I think also it's important for us to realize that nothing, whenever the change or anything like that needs to happen, there's always a high level of sacrifice. Like and it's never going to be a comfortable situation. You look at history, you know what I mean? Important figures who made a change or who made a difference, they were all put in these highly pressurized situations where they were either totally loved or totally hated. It was like there was no, you were never going, like they were never like loved by all people. You know what I mean? There's always going to be some form of enemy for any kind of figure who is set in a place to make a change. If you're going to be that person who's leading a movement or bringing, something significant,
or going against the status quo.
Going against, right? What's politically correct per se, or the norm. There's always going to be some backlash.
But you know what? It's
from somebody.
But you know what? As I feel like it's still something though where, as much as and that's the thing that people do. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, they see someone doing something and they're gonna tell the person, "This is how you should do it," or "Do that and do this." And I feel like it's not our place to tell people what to do with their own lives and just where they are. Mm-hmm. Of course, we would say, like, there's a level of maybe accountability that they should have, or a sort of responsibility that they should take on. But I still think it's the individual's decision. Mm-hmm. Because if it's, I don't know, I guess I'm thinking like I would really want those people to actually do stuff. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, even as a family man myself and different things, I'm like, they have to want it for themselves, for them to really be committed and to go the
for sure.
not just the extra mile, but to go the entire way, to go all the way. Mm-hmm. Like, so for those people, it's just a consideration to say, if you're in a position where you can make a change that can impact more people than your immediate family, then consider it. Right? As Jay said, maybe there's a sacrifice component that's involved, but it's something that if you have never thought about it, I won't put any pressure on you as an individual to say you must do this or you must do that, because you don't have to. But consider it. See if there's something that you can contribute. Mm-hmm. If you're in a position that you can make a difference in whatever area it is, no matter how big or small, then consider maybe using your power for good. So that's something that I just wanted to touch on really quickly. But I think you wanted to finish your thought, maybe?
No, well, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, we're saying all this and it's always easier said than done. And I'm sure many of you are thinking like, well, you don't know what I have to go through. Like, and I feel like all of us in different times and areas of our life are put into a position where we can choose to do something or not to do something, speak up and, speak up about something or not speak up about something. And, fear is a really like, it paralyzes. It's a real tricky thing. You know what I mean? And it's something that we all have to fight. But I guess if we're going to be talking about solutions, it's like, okay, one of the things that we all need to do is to just maybe be a little bit more brave.
Courageous.
Potentially
fearless. But this it goes into, well, I guess just to finish off what you said or add something to that, I personally believe that fear is an enemy of all progress, that we should, as much as we possibly can, have no part with it, right? Because when you're trying to make a decision, fear really is a thing that, man, it will cause you to miss out. It will do so much to you. And there's a book that I should recommend on when it comes onto fear, and it's called The 50th Law by Robert Greene and Curtis Jackson. 50 Cent, the 50th, 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 because some of you guys might say your accent. What are you saying, sir? The 50th Law by Robert Greene and Curtis Jackson. Really amazing book. Y'all should get it. If you're thinking about fear and how to potentially overcome your fear. But I want to segue into the first talking point that became the second talking point, which I think has something to do with the individual component that we're talking about with people in influence. And it's about the individual, because as a collective, we are the Black community, right? This global community, right? And when it comes on to solution, there's something that I want to say that I think we could do as individuals. And if we're able to do that, then collectively we'll all rise. And I said this before on a live stream. It's almost like a class or a school. Like Harvard and other places like that. I don't think it has that prestige because of like the facilities or whatever, it's the students. MIT or whatever school it is, UFT, whatever you want to call it, wherever it is in the world, is the students. Because if you never had those students at the school performing at that level, that's why they look for the best. Because you're like, if you can get the best, you're trying to build a company, you're trying to get the best of the best, right? So you're trying to build a team.
Yeah.
And it's the individual components, the individuals, the students, the staff that makes a corporation or a school or whatever a strong contender. And it's the same thing with I believe the community. If each of us within the Black community should work on ourselves, right, to engage in what I call the process of, or the journey of self-mastery, and try to become a better version of yourself as an individual, to strive to the maximum level that you can as an individual, then collectively we will rise, right? So whether we're in whatever country we reside in, if we work on ourselves, then so for instance, just briefly, it's almost like when people talk about they criticize the Black community, and they're saying, oh snap, you can do better, you just whatever, despite you're struggling, whatever you guys say, y'all listen, if y'all try harder, and they discount all the struggle. We can try harder. Yes, we can do more. Yes, in life, every human can do more.
Yes.
And I'll get on that. I just want to say that there is this thing as well where being bombarded with a lot of negativity affects people.
Yeah.
Right? It literally beats you down. So any human, if you're not that strong, it will beat you down. And even if you're strong, it still beats you down. Do you believe that? You concur with that?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So that's something. And that's something that happens to the Black race. We're lambasted over and over again. Through movies and media and different things that people say, and when you go into maybe a school system, the way some of the teachers who are not even really teachers, I'm like, who are these people who are literally discounting these people from
school counselors? The worst.
You see what I'm trying to say? So there's so much negativity, and that affects people, and you have to have something that counters that. And this is where what I'm thinking. It might not be something for every individual. It might take longer for some people, but I really believe that personal development helps a lot.
Yeah.
It's something that helps all humans. So no matter what level you are, if you can really work on yourself as an individual, you can rise and become better, right? If you strive to become better and you put yourself in a position where you're counteracting all these forces that are negative, that are actually trying to push you down, you literally have something that has not even the equal force, but a greater force to push that away from you and break free of the shackles. You understand? I think it's important because this is something that can work for any person, whether you're Black, white. And I spoke about it when Cordial was on the live stream about how certain corporations, they invite these speakers to come in and to impart. Right, they pay them big bucks, six figures, and all these, like money to have some seminars or whatever to try to get their staff to another level, to take them to another level,
to lift them up.
So it's the same thing that can be applied to Black people, and I think that we need to come from a place of PD, personal development, to try to become better than we are, whether it's through getting books on finances, to learn more about money, to learn more about emotional intelligence and different things and just ways to improve us.
Yeah.
And then if we adapt the mindset of, like, as you said, sacrifice, making the necessary sacrifices that we need to make to become better, right? To whether it's going to school if you want to do that, or if it's to start your own business if you want to do that, or to do whatever it is that you want to do to pursue that, you have to sacrifice and you have to be willing to do the hard work. And if you can really take on that mindset, that's the only way to get things done, to really be a person that's committed to that, a person that would really, really, really go through the hard times. Because listen, it's hard, it's so hard. Just like you said, it's easier to say it.
No, we can sit here and talk about it all day.
Right, and one thing that I do that I really like, that I put myself in a position where I can feel these things, is like my running. Like as I've said it before, like I'm a long distance runner and I run all the time, like literally almost every day, every other day pretty much. I run, and when I'm there, and if some of you guys know, maybe you go to the gym or you do something that really requires a lot. And you're going and you feel like you want to stop, you feel like you want to give up, and you're like, sometimes you're like, you're so uncomfortable, or the discomfort or the pain or whatever you're going through, you're like, you want to stop, but you understand that you can't give up, you can't quit. Why? Because it's what's required. It's a sacrifice that's necessary. Just like when you're giving birth to Tiffany, the pain you felt, the promise is coming, right? Or beautiful daughter is coming, but you had to go through that labor, which wasn't pleasant. But what happened after you did? Like,
no, well, I mean, you and I was really stubborn too, because I wanted to feel the pain. I didn't want the epidural, but then I had to give in. But anyways, after going through all of that, I was committed. That I knew that she was gonna come out eventually, right? So. Yeah, and then afterwards it's just
so you go through that, like knowing Tiffany now, you'd go through that again,
of
right?
course,
because it's like you know that this is a part of the process.
Of course, actually, right? I think the day after I was like, oh, I want to do this again.
Right, so you see what I'm saying, right?
Like it was worth it. Like all the months of like nausea and everything, it was worth it. Yeah. That's life. That's something that in life is consistent. And I have another podcast just to say, and it's about it's called Ranzo's Post Run Talk, and it's about like life change and stuff like that. And I talk about this thing about difficulties and the process and sacrifices, and why these things are. It's one of the realest things in life. It's almost like every level that you look at, giving birth, just for the continuity of the species, you have to go through that. You understand, like, we're trying to go to another level, whether it's in school, we got to like sacrifice different time to study. You're doing a business, you got to go to the part where you ain't getting no customers. You got to go out there, you got to grind, because if you ain't make a sale, you can't pay that rent, right? You can't buy that, you can't buy your groceries and stuff like that. You understand that you have to go through the hard times. It's necessary, and that is life. And I think if we as Black people, who I believe are really, really strong, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be here. Can you imagine what we've been through and we're still here? And some people are thriving still. I think we're just the strongest people on the planet. Okay, and I'm not even just saying that because I'm Black. Like really, like we're still here. If people just trying to kill you off and you're still here, you understand? So I'm like, if we embrace that and use and wield that power to really work on ourselves as individuals on an individual level to be the best that we can be. Go after the careers that we want, the professions that we want. If you want to start a business, it doesn't matter what people say. If they don't believe in you, that's their problem. It's not yours. You go after it still. You want to become a doctor and they're like, no one in their family's a doctor? Your family ain't got no sense? Y'all are dumb. You don't care what they say. You still pursue it. If we can take on that mindset and every negative force or energy that is directed towards us, we repel it with positivity and have another mindset and don't allow that to penetrate you, then I believe on an individual level, in communities, even if you're from impoverished communities, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You find your internal environment. So even around you, everything is going chaotic and crazy. You find a place in your mind or your own little corner where you create this positive space for yourself and you work on that. And if you can reach a certain level, if you can become the best version of yourself as an individual, then, and another person does the same thing, you who are watching and you guys who are listening as well, if we all did this as individuals, trust me, collectively. So that's one way that I think we can do it. So whether you find yourself in a job where they don't believe in you, you find yourself in a school where they don't believe in you, you find yourself in a country where they don't believe in you or expect much of you, you prove them wrong, not because you're trying to prove them wrong, but you try to become the very best version of yourself as an individual, and then collectively, I believe, then we'll start rising. That's something that we can start doing today, like right now. Right. So that's what I think we can do. On a macro level, like something that we can just do right now. I don't know what that is, but I know on an individual level, if we can start doing this. Well, exactly. If each of us build up ourselves, strength, and become valuable to society, I feel like, we build up on skills, find skills
or more valuable. Because everyone is valuable, but more valuable.
To be more valuable in the sense of just mastering something, being very strong at
that linchpin.
Yeah, being very strong at whatever it is that you do. So whatever sector of whatever industry that you want to be in, being very strong in it and dominating, right? Like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so much.
Yeah.
It's like, another thing that really, really rubs me the wrong way or pisses me off, let me just say, because it really, really pisses me off, is this, I think it's called intelligence quotient, IQ. And people talking about like, oh, black people have the lowest IQ in the world. And all these dumb things. And they're talking about the size of our cranium and all sort of dumb stuff. Like, I would just call it like some type of pseudoscience foolishness that people use back in the day to perpetuate or to support their position of being superior and stuff like that. Don't allow stuff like that to get into your mind because it's rubbish. You understand? Every human has the potential and the capability to reach the highest level within themselves to become a better version of who they are. So wherever you are right now, you can become better. And don't buy into that. I remember Les Brown said that at one point he was labeled edgically, mentally retarded, and that was that label that they gave him. They gave him that label, and he accepted that label. So he was nicknamed the dumb twin because he was a twin, right? A part of a twin, one half, and he was a dumb twin. And until one day he met a teacher. I believe teachers have some of the
most powerful.
Yeah, right. The most influential roles in the world. You understand? And if you have and if you have the right teacher, trust me, you can change the world as well. And the teacher can you imagine that one chance that he had, that one chance encounter, which was maybe ordained. The man said to him, he gave him a task, and he was like, I can't do it because I'm dumb, pretty much paraphrasing. And he's like, listen, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality, and that forever change Les Brown's life. And some of you guys may know who I'm speaking about. If you don't, you can Google him, or on YouTube you just type Les Brown. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And I think as a race, some people don't think much of us, but who cares? Their opinion does not have any bearing at all on how we perform. So so it's all about what you think of yourself as an individual. Who do you believe you are? And that's the level that I think we should work from. And of course, some of us are doing really, really well, but we need more of us to do that to really make the impact that we need. And those that are doing really, really well and are in certain positions, as we said, we can't demand, but it would be nice if you guys try to use some of your influence to
make a change.
Yes.
Another thing that I think is important, other than just working on yourself, but is to lift up those who are close to us, who are in our surroundings. If you know, like some young people, whether it's family, friends, neighbors, mentor somebody, help some kids out, just encourage them. Even I think people underestimate how impactful a few positive words are to like a young person. To hear someone say that of course you can go to university, like something simple of there are some kids who just don't think they can go to college, who don't think they have what it takes to elevate to a certain like career or job. They see just maybe a certain type of life, and they're kind of boxed into that. And you don't know how powerful just like a simple encouraging word can be, especially to young people and just people of any age. Because even I feel like people in the older generation who've been maybe in something, taking care of their family, but like they're not satisfied with where they're at, may think that it's too late, may think that okay, they can't start a business now, they're too old or whatever. Like, if you know somebody, for example, if you have an aunt, for example, who is like the best cook ever, and the moment she opens a restaurant, she would just like be killing it. Like just simple stuff like that, just lifting each other up and like encouraging each other to just go higher and like open up each other's minds to like, what if you started a business? What if you did that? You know what I mean? I think we underestimate like how powerful just some, like I said, simple encouraging words can be. So I think other than working on ourselves individually, personally, we can also just lift each other up, literally.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, and I think that as well is another way.
Indeed, that's true as well. That's true. It's like, just like, it's almost like coming off what, Lesbian encountered. That teacher just saying that.
Yeah, each one teach one. Everybody, right? Everybody just commit yourself to even just helping one person. And sometimes it's going to be hard. Yeah. Sometimes, but you just got to do it. So, because sometimes you plant a seed and just any seed, when you plant a seed today, you don't reap the harvest tomorrow. So you plant that mango seed, you're not going to see a mango tree tomorrow. You understand? And sometimes I know it's hard, like you're trying to communicate to someone and you're trying to tell them something to do this. And you're like, this is how you do it. And they won't even listen. Like sometimes it won't even register. And some of you guys might be able to identify with this. When you were younger and your parents were telling you something, you're like, yo, y'all are lame. Whatever the case is, whatever your response was. But when you came of age, you're like, okay, I see why. Because you only saw part of it, right? Because your perception is limited. So yeah, so definitely, so even if there's someone that you're trying to communicate something to, make sure that you say it. Or even if they won't believe you in that moment, they might call that to mind at a later stage, and then it might spark something. Yeah. So just make sure you do you deposit that thing. And that's sometimes why I like, even sometimes when some people are annoyed by quotes and stuff like that, positivity or whatever. But that's why sometimes I take most opportunities to just impart something, because you never know where it might fall. Right. You understand? Right. You never know if someone they're in a position or a place where they needed to hear that. And that one word, words are powerful. Man, that's why as well, coming back to when other people are saying things and they're like, we should be unaffected by it. All the negativity and talking about the black people this, black people that, whatever the case is. But still, by having this positivity around us, you understand, to counteract that. So when someone is saying, oh, you're not good enough or whatever, within yourself that thing, you can say, well, I know my worth, or I know whatever the case is. So when it comes up, it just bounce back, like in these movies, he just bounce off you. So these are just some thoughts, that we have. Do you want to say something? Because I think we're gonna kind of wrap up in a bit, and so let's see if Jay has something to say about that. And if you guys have something to say as well, remember the comments are down below. If you guys are listening to the podcast, we have the video version on YouTube, so you can go over to YouTube. The link will be in the show notes as well, for you guys to check out. Well, I guess just to chime off of what you last said is that in regards to words being so powerful, is that choose what you want to define yourself as. Don't let other people, define you. But I think for me, it's always been important to like, how do I define myself? And also to even just reflect on that, because oftentimes we might have a really negative view of ourselves, whereas other people may see all the good in you, but maybe when you look at yourself, you only see the bad in you. So I think as well is that and you said this earlier about self-reflection, personal development, like define yourself for yourself. Don't hang on to the words of other people.
Know who you are.
Yeah, and you will go far.
Like, you wanted to rhyme?
Actually, I wrote it. Yeah.
A little poem. You want to spit something? No.
This is my Japanese. You see this? This is one of these things that I've learned while being here in Japan. This is Japanese body language. This is not, it doesn't mean I'm smelling something bad. This means no. Okay. For people who don't know. But like, I do it a lot. Yeah. That's one of the things that I've adapted. So just now you're like, I was just gonna say that poem, but then I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to share.
Okay. You sure you don't want to share it? You sure? I guess, you know what? You want to share? Because I was about to say, listen, if y'all come to our event on June the 26th, if you find yourself in Tokyo, if you're in Tokyo right now, if you'll be in Tokyo on the 26th of June, we're having an event, location to be announced. So, mark that on your calendar. It's a Wednesday. Yes, it's a Wednesday. But we're having an event, our first event of 2019, second event since our inception. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to drop it there. Yeah, so I think she'll drop it there. What do you think? Why do you want to drop it here?
I'll drop something.
You want to drop something here?
No. I mean, I'll drop something at the event. Maybe in the future, I have to be prepared.
Okay. Yeah, she writes stuff as well. So I won't pressure her here, only because I'm like, come to the event, the 26th of June in Tokyo. We'll release all this stuff soon, so you guys will see it. Hopefully some of you guys can make it there. Should be fun. But yeah, so this is just one of those discussions, guys. There's a lot more that can be said, but listen, solution. There's a lot, and I really believe, as we said, personal development is important. Trying to, like, as Jay said, using your words positively and trying to, like, impart stuff, into other people as well. And even especially if you're actually from a place, and you found a way to escape from that place, right? It's like, can you reach back? Can you really try to help people? And sometimes I know it's hard, because sometimes you're trying to teach them how to fish, and some people just want to fish and they don't want to learn how to do it. But still try, right? And there might be someone that's hungry enough who will take the advice and implement it. But definitely work on yourself. Counteract all the negativity with the positivity. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become a reality. You have to accept that, right? Just like he said, you have to take it on. Like he said, define yourself. It's define like yourself for yourself, if you know who you are, because usually things that hurt is when there's I believe, like a little scintilla of truth, or a little iota of truth to it. When someone says that about you, it only really goes deep when you believe even a little bit about yourself. If you believe that, then it hurts. But if you know this is like sometimes some people would write a comment or see certain things, and I'm like, it's so far from the truth that it's
like foolish.
You're not even phased. You're just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, at least put a little bit in it, a little truth in it. Then, all right. But because it's so far off, it's just like left field. You're like, okay, well, I don't know what that was about. But if you believe a little bit of the lie or the negativity, then it goes deep and it affects you as an individual. So someone's opinion of you does not have to become a reality. Work on yourself, right? Work on yourself. Try to become the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, and embark on this journey of self-mastery to become better than you were today, than you were yesterday, and better tomorrow than you were today, where you are today. All right? If you do that, if you're constantly doing that, moving forward, because we never stand still, it's either regression or progression. We decide. But yeah, so guys, I want to thank you for listening. All right, thank you so much for listening to this, the episode number 2 of the Melanated Files podcast, where we focus on solutions, right? We really we're thankful that you guys spent this time to listen to us. Of course, some of us are tired. I know Jay's a bit tired as well, but thank you guys for listening. I really hope that this does something positive, that we inspired at least one person, because sometimes all it takes is one person. One person that you're talking about sacrificing and certain figures in history. Sometimes that one person that started the fire, they are running with that torch, and then they start, like this one got ignited, and you start something. Yeah. Right. So if that one person was inspired, amazing. But the goal is solution. Right. So we want to thank you guys for listening. My name is Ranzo, and this is
Janique.
Right. So until next week. Right. Remember to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. The subscription button is somewhere down there. That big red button that says subscribe. Hit that and hit the bell icon as well to be notified whenever we release a new video. You can also find this podcast on all the podcast streaming platforms that are out there. If you don't see it, it will be there eventually. Soon. Right, soon. Right. So
it takes a little while.
Yeah, I think it's not on Apple Podcasts yet or iTunes yet, but it should be there. It should be there soon. So just keep looking. Every new episode that we release, you just look to see if it's there.
If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, please type them in the comments down below or message us on...
Yeah, on our website, blackxjp.com, blackexjp.com, or you can find us on Facebook as well, or Instagram at the THE Black BLACKEXJP, so the Black XJP on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Guys, take care. Have a wonderful morning, evening, noon, or night. Until next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
See ya.